Hi, welcome back to another video. Today we are going to get cozy and draw and chat a little bit. Ohuhu kindly sent me a few materials to try out. So yeah, we are going to be drawing a little cozy fox. Stay tuned for the end of this video because I'm going to do a giveaway of some of these materials. Let's get into drawing. I have my inspo open on Pinterest, my drawing over here, not sure if you can see anything. Let's pull out the fine liners and do the line art first. I have all of my swatches over here, so let's choose the colors. Loving this color palette so far. While I'm drawing, I really wanted to chat about a little bit of my journey as an artist. But first, let's start painting. Need a lighter one. Here it is. I organized the colors by color and also by code. If you can see, if it will focus, but all the pens have like a little code. Love how this smell of alcohol now means like downtime for me. The first set that I had from Ohuhu were more pastel colors, which I love, but I'm also loving this more like deep colors and being able to a bit more to my illustrations. I'm very curious if I'm going to be able to do dégradé of colors that I want. It turned out a little bit more darker than I wanted, but it's fine. So I always felt like a super creative person, and I feel like deep down I always knew that I wanted to be an artist. Over the years, with my experiences with people and all of that, I always felt more and more discouraged. Talk a lot about comparison and imposter syndrome and all of that, and I feel like that doesn't start as adults, that starts way earlier. Because I remember, and I was like on third grade or something like that, that I compared a lot myself with my colleagues, and this came not only from me but the perspectives of other people, my art and what I was doing. And I was still like a little kid, never asked me to do something. They always asked the other people on my class that were a little bit more talented than me or knew how to draw something better. And I talk about this a lot, especially on my Patreon podcasts, that since from that age, I never felt like I could draw because I couldn't draw a star. And this was like a comment that one of my colleagues made at a time, and that stuck with me, which is such a simple thing and so dumb, but just one of those things, right? And I don't know, I think from then on I always put my value as an artist from the perspective of other people. Like if other people didn't think I was good enough, why bother? I was always going to be someone better. I never really thought about that. I was always creative at home. My dad used to get me paints and all of that, all of these materials. Or he went to Lidl. I don't know if you know the supermarket, but they always had like some really cool art materials from time to time. My dad also drew houses and stuff. He drew their own house and all of that. So I always had this artistic vibe within like my family and stuff. That doesn't always mean that it's a good thing, because I also had this person that always wanted to be an artist and always felt creative. It didn't work for him, so I always had not negativity, but this fear that I couldn't do that as a job. When I started to grow up, we had to decide, I don't know how it works in your countries, but when we get to 9th grade, we kind of have to choose an area. So in my school, we had it divided by arts, humanities and languages, economy. Always thought that I wanted to go to sciences, be a veterinary or something like that. I always thought those were the only options for me. Again, I never really considered art for myself. And I think it only takes one person to question it all. And it was a teacher of mine. A teacher asked me if I ever thought about pursuing arts. Well, I did, but I never thought about it like seriously, you know. Kept thinking about it more and more and more. And yeah, I went home and I said to my parents that I wanted to go to arts and pursue arts. And that's what I did. They didn't really like the idea, because it was always something that it was frowned upon, it wasn't worth it or anything like that. And I'm really, really happy that I did. Those years weren't easy as a creative as well. It was always a lot of pressure. Again, that comparison thing. But yeah, I did secondary school, which I think it's probably high school, maybe. So when it comes to choosing the course that I wanted, never thought much about it. I really wanted to study painting. I didn't think that I was good enough for that. And my teacher actually told me that maybe it wasn't a good idea because I wasn't good enough. Complimented all my thoughts over the years, but yeah, that's so bad. Anyway, I didn't go to painting. I ended up going to design and just choose this random course that I thought would be better for my future, and I thought design was the best option for me, and I didn't like it. Like the course at the time wasn't good as well. Time there, it was very toxic environment for me, with some colleagues and all of that, so I didn't have like the best time. And I ended up going into a very dark period of mental health. I basically gave up the course on my second year. I didn't finish it, and I had to come home because I wasn't feeling. It was a very dark place, and I went home and I found my creativity again. I started painting again. I ended up going to another course, which is conservation and restoration of art, which I loved, and found out it wasn't really for myself when I did an internship in India. At least like the practical work, working in a museum, and all of that. At this point, I was doing illustration already, because during that time when I was in India, I started to draw again, and I haven't drawn in like 2 years at this point. I was able to find my creativity again, and embrace it again, and I started to draw when I was in India after my internship, which was really, really nice. At this point, I started my Instagram page where I share my illustrations. I started doing commissions, all of these things that I dealt from since the beginning and since I was little. It's something that it's so present still to this day, and I think that's why it's so important to, be careful what we say to people and all of that, because that can really influence so much things. I was studying, I was working during the weekend in a coffee/restaurant, so it was a lot. I ended up burning out yet again, and I took another trip in Southeast Asia, and I basically discovered YouTube. Breaking moments where I realized that this could be my job and other people were doing it, so I could do it too. Until this point, I never thought about it. Like, I was studying conservation and restoration, and I never even thought about that. Something that I never thought it was even a possibility, because I never thought I was good enough for. But I guess after all of those years, I thought that maybe I could try it. And I came back from that trip and I started working into opening my Etsy shop and all of those things. This to say that you don't really need like a special education to do this as your job. The most important thing that you need is to believe in yourself. And honestly, I think that was the thing that was missing the most through the years for myself. Just trusting in what I could create and trust in my creativity, really. That's all it took, not a degree, all of these things that you can do and learn and all of that. I think the most important thing is to begin, and that's where things happen. I could spend like a whole month or a whole year searching for how to do this, how to do this business and how to start and all of that. So worried about learning and doing the best and doing it the right way that sometimes we even start because we are so caught up into being the best and doing it the best way possible so it works a little bit better, and then we lose the spark. And I think it's really important to enjoy that spark once it appears. Just doing the gingham, I must say I love the texture of this paper and the pens. They look so nice. One of the things that is making me embrace my creativity again and try not to let myself think about all of these things again. Well, it's always easier said than done, really, because it happens more than I wish it did. But I think going back to traditional materials just put my mind at ease a little bit and takes that pressure off a little bit, really. I don't know if you know this, but I actually started with traditional materials. I did watercolors. That's all the materials that I used was watercolors and pens and liners and stuff like that. So I think it brings me a little bit to the beginning. It just takes a little bit of the pressure of being perfect, To add a little base color so it's not too white. Let's add a bit more shadows in here. One thing I love about these pens and also these pads is that I can keep going and going and going, and it doesn't affect first the line art or the ink, but it doesn't bleed. And I don't know if you noticed, I added so much paint, and let me show you the back of it. You see? Nothing. Okay, let's finish this little guy. the final result of this little guy. I'm so happy with it. I gave a few details and some highlights with color pencils. It looks so cute. He and Ohuhu are working together for a giveaway for you guys, so I'm giving away all the materials that I used on this video, including 2 bleed-free pads, the big package of pens, and the fine liners. Leave a comment down below sharing a little bit of your path as an artist and finding your creativity and what made you go for it. Please leave your Instagram handle in the end of the comments so that I know how to contact you. It's open internationally and for Portugal as well, so everyone can take part. So yeah, don't forget to leave a comment. I hope you enjoyed spending this little bit drawing and chatting with me. And yeah, I'll see you guys next week. Bye! Bye!